This is a calling because you are given the impetus, the effrontery, the grace to seek to repair what God has made, the human body. There's no way you can survive in that field if you don't have a connection to the Maker originally. And that is why it has to be a calling, not just a calling.
Hello, my amazing viewers at home. Welcome to another episode of Finding Your Motivation with Goodness Chineye. Today we're going to be looking at a very serious topic inside optometry, the life and calling of an eye specialist. Taking us on this journey is none other than Dr. Onyebuchi Achubo. Drum rolls. Hello, Doctor. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Welcome. Thank you so much for being on our show. It's such a privilege and we do not take it for granted at all.
Thank you, Chineye.
Thank you, sir. So quickly, can you just tell us the meaning of optometry?
Okay. An optometrist is a doctor who is trained to take care of eye health. As a matter of fact, to understand optometry better, you will need to understand the entire IK team.
IK team?
Yes.
What's that, please?
The IK team is made up of, you have the optometrists,
Okay.
you have the ophthalmologists, you have the opticians. Now, the primary eye care doctor is the optometrist.
Okay.
Patients meeting, diagnosis, prescribe lenses, and manages other ocular problems where needed. Where there are cases of surgery,
Okay.
it refers to the ophthalmologist who performs the surgery. The ophthalmologist is the eye surgeon,
Okay.
but the optometrist is the general eye doctor.
Okay.
Then the optician, there's another group called the optician.
The optician. I think
These
that's
people are basically concerned with the technical aspect of prescription lenses, fitting them, getting these glasses fitted properly to, for the end user.
Are they also doctors?
No, they're not. Those are not doctors.
Oh.
They are called opticians. But in our climb, people have always known opticians.
So yes,
that
exactly.
confuse this thing.
That's true. I'm quite surprised.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, is it like a defining moment that led you into this field? Was it like a driving force? Because most people, the reason why they are doctor today is because they will say, oh, they had a bad experience of a doctor, or maybe they lost someone who was ill and the doctors were not really positively responsive. Yeah. So is your case something like that? And why did you choose to specialize in the eye aspect of being a doctor?
Yeah, basically, my case is not that way. Exactly. Growing up, right from kindergarten stages, I had always been an all-rounder. I found myself able to excel with little efforts almost every area.
So you're versatile.
College, government, mathematics, sciences, arts, and all that.
Wow.
In fact, one of my best areas is even in areas where I can draw you the way you look and sell it. But then, so it wasn't really out of such experiences. But it happened that at the time I wanted to complete my JAMB forms, fill my JAMB forms and all that, make choices of, I had this friend of my father's who, not a resident here, he stays an optometrist in the US. So one day they were having a discussion and he so much talked about this profession to me that I fell in love with it.
Wow. And
I just had to feel it in those three places: first choice, second choice, third choice as my choice. And that was it.
Yeah. That's really amazing. So would you say medicine to you, is it a calling or it's just a mere career?
No, ordinarily, and every aspect of medicine should be a calling, basically, because a lot has to do with beyond head knowledge, beyond classroom grasp. A lot has to do with empathy. And of course, you can't respond to the callings of empathy if it's just a career. You are, you're for the average person pursuing a career, your joy comes from your promotions. Your joy comes from career advancements. But for the healthcare provider, your joy should come from the fact that one person is able to live better because you intervened.
Wow.
And I want to tell you something. There is something that is different about whatever aspect of medicine, call it general medicine, optometry, ophthalmology, nursing, whatever you look at it. One thing you need to know is that every other profession, you are assigned the role of repairing man-made things. You are a man. For instance, a mechanical engineer will interface with machines. A civil engineer will interface with things that are from man to man. But this is a calling because you are given the impetus, the effrontery, the grace to seek to repair what God has made,
Wow.
the human body. There's no way you can survive in that field if you don't have a connection to the Maker originally. And that is why it has to be a calling, not just a calling.
But for most, thank you very much for that. But for most doctors, why is it that most of them don't want to treat the patients until they see money?
Well, it's not the fault of the doctors. It's actually the fault of the system.
The system?
Yeah, it's actually the fault of the system. You know what systems do? Systems, they are designed to cause people to behave in a particular way. When a system is faulty, no matter how good you are, if you are in that system, you become faulty. That's the bane of the society we are in today. When the system is good, it has a way of cascading down to the players in the system. Now, if you have a system that is supportive to your career, these things, you won't notice them at all. But you see, if you have a system that forces you to engage in certain things for certain ends to be achieved, that's why you see people. In other words, when a system becomes wrong, what happens is that people are forced to behave out of themselves. What you have just said is not the behavior of a normal doctor. It's the behavior that emanates from a frustrated practitioner. It's a behavior that comes from the fact that this person has his back against the wall. It's a behavior that comes from somebody who is angry and, who don't want to repeat a mistake. So when the system gets faulty, sometimes the players are blamed. It's like when somebody is in a vehicle. You can be a good passenger, but if the driver drives badly, everybody plunges into the lagoon.
That's true.
But if the driver drives well, of course, you find everybody arriving at destination. That's why sometimes you discover that doctors behave differently here than they do abroad.
Okay, so this is going to lead me to my next question, but before I ask that, rather, let me ask this particular question. So for someone who is passionate about becoming a doctor, knowing fully well that the system is like this, what will be your advice to that person? And then my question now, what is your motivation? What makes you passionate? What keeps you passionate about your job?
Somebody knowing the system is this way. Of course, hope does not fail us. Okay? Why people keep hoping that the system will one day change and become better? You're also supposed to, I always advise people on what I call personal improvement, self-improvement. You are sometimes the issue of motivation, people get it wrongly. People want to achieve motivation before they set to work. But that doesn't happen in reality. In reality, motivation comes as you work. As you work. Now, if you really have it as a calling, while people are looking at the faults of that system, they are looking at that child who is able to perform better in school because he now sees better. They are looking at that man who should have incapacitated another person, taking him around blind. But that is not happening because you intervened. So that's why when you see some of those things and you have those results, you find out that your driving force goes beyond the dictations of the system. you can still be good in spite of the system.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. Thank you very much. What is the most touching experience you've ever had as an eye specialist? And how do you handle cases where a patient may never regain their sight?
Okay. I think there are quite a number of experiences that are touching, but maybe just one or two. One was the case of a woman who regained her sight after she was technically blind.
Oh my
But she came complaining of certain irritations. Actually, she had some pains and all that. So she needed to be more comfortable, even though she wasn't seeing.
So she was not seeing and she was still experiencing a form of...
Yeah. Of course. And then when she came, of course, one thing led to another, gave her some topical antibiotics for those pains. And she went home, applied them, and regained her sight.
Wow.
In fact, the place turned to a kind of crusade ground because people wanted to see what magic had happened to her. That was God. And what I keep telling people is that you must understand that if you're operating in the medical space, you are treading where spirits tread.
That's true.
That's why a lot of people don't know that the word pharmacy has a root word called pharmakia, and the meaning of pharmakia is witchcraft. So
tell us about that.
Yeah, so the origin of drugs in themselves and all these substances that alter mood, the origin is from the spirits. So it becomes important here that every person who practices in the area of health has to be sound spiritually. You have to have a good communication and a good relationship with your God.
That's true.
To know where to go. Other experiences of a woman who had been labeled blind because she made some wrong applications in the eyes that formed a crust over the eyes. On a casual visit, I just saw her. Of course, they were accusing one man as being responsible. The village people syndrome.
Okay.
And then when I came closer, I discovered that there's a layer on those eyes.
Who caused such?
Putting all forms of things. People will suggest put this, he will.
Okay, right. You heard all meds.
Yes, concussions. Like that. And then I lifted those things that she started seeing. And, those were moments that I remember. You discover that you are not the only one involved. God is involved in this business. You are just an agent. So rely on him makes you get better results. There are so many other moments, but let me stop at those two.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think that was supposed to be my next question. Have you ever experienced something like a divine intervention in your field?
Yeah, all the time. All the time, divine interventions. Yeah. The two I've just mentioned are divine.
Yes, exactly. They are. And they're really touching experiences as well. So do you believe that we often take our eyesight care, our eye care for granted? Do you believe we take it for granted, especially in this digital space, this digital era?
Well, I would rather say that most people are ignorant. I wouldn't really say they take it for granted. It's a function of ignorance. You see, when people don't know what to do, of course, there's nothing much you can take from that. If people don't know what to do, they don't know that this is bad or this is good or these are definite steps to take. Okay? They simply take any kind of step. Just like when you don't have a target, every place is your target when you eat. And so it's majorly a function of ignorance. Yeah, some people also out of laziness and out of mental laziness, most importantly, and out of wrong priorities. When you don't set your priorities right, you find out that you pursue other things at the expense of your health. And there is one layer of this ignorance I want to use this opportunity to expound is the area where people actually look at the eyes separately from the leg, the heart, the kidneys, and all that. And I've seen people who died with their eyes intact. But the moment you are dead, those eyes will stop seeing.
That's true.
And the moment the eyes go, the legs don't know where to go again. So you find out that the body is an entity that has to be looked at holistically. Somebody might be just busy about taking care of it, and if you don't check your blood sugar, if you are not careful about your blood pressure, you come back to the same thing, because these things will still affect the eyes in the long run. So most of the times, ignorance, okay, plays a lot of role. Laziness and lack of discipline that comes into you when people go home with prescribed drugs. Taking it becomes a problem. That is another problem. Another problem is also poverty.
Poverty.
Yeah, poverty of the mind more than that of the pocket.
Okay.
Yeah, poverty makes people find ignorance comfortable. When you are poor, you want to evade everything. Any place that, you find comfortable, you get into that space. And some of the times you are more comfortable not visiting the hospital. It's not going for your eye checkups, just to evade that aspect of responsibility out of poverty of the mind. And some other times, wrong setting of priorities, like I mentioned earlier, you find out that, and that is where the anger of some of the doctors you mentioned earlier come from.
Okay, sir. So for people who are into this digital space, because a lot of times they spend a lot of their time on the system, on their phone, and they are working. So the other day, I saw one of my pastors in school. His eyes were swollen, and I asked what happened. He said he was on the system all through. So what would you advise him to do? Or people like that, what would you advise them to do? Even myself, there are times that if I hold my phone for so long, I'll start feeling a lot of pain, my eyes, my head. I'm just feeling very dizzy. So what do we do? What can we do?
These gadgets, of course, they come with their own problems. You have radiations coming from them.
Okay.
Affect not just the eyes, but the entire body. And prolonged exposure.
Prolonged
exposure to these gadgets, of course. If you don't have any shield, it will, in the long run, affect eye health and also general health. So what we advise people to do actually is, before you buy these gadgets, look at, there are precautionary measures within on some of them. You should be abreast with them. Second, also, of course, getting your optometrist's advice or general doctor's advice on how you go about using these things is also important. Also knowing that the body, if you have a way of listening to your body, making sure that when you are tired, you are tired. I hope basically people should also even understand that the eyes are, an offshoot of the brain. So it's like when something happens to your brain, it also happens to your eyes. That's why, when the eye is cut off from the brain, the eyes can be looking but not seeing any longer. So you discover that these things you need to give your eyes some space. There are things we call computer vision syndrome and all that, where people develop all kinds of problems, by overuse of these gadgets. So we advise that from time to time, all these things can be taken care of if you have inculcate into your routine the idea of going for checkup. Yeah, checkup serves not just to check whether you have a problem or not, but also to get freshly enlightened by your doctor on certain things you use. Some persons may, when you get for a checkup, that is the opportunity you have to re-examine your lifestyle vis-a-vis your health, and your doctor's advice, comes in handy. And that is why we expect people, whether you have any problem or not, visit your optometrist for an eye checkup, so that if there is a problem, it will be nipped in the bud. If there's no problem, you'll be advised. If there are potential problems, you'll be cautioned. So your life generally makes more meaning. The advice, regular eye checks on those people. There are so many things you are expected to be using while you are on distance. I think when you get to the clinic, specifications will be given to you.
So all of those who do not want to use glasses at all, and then they're telling you to use glasses.
You don't use glasses because you want to. You use them because you need to. In the Garden of Eden, were we wearing clothes? Everybody was naked, but there is a necessity now to wear clothes. And we are all wearing clothes. And that goes to mind. You see, sometimes, when you see me more economical about what the person should basically do. Because in this space, this is not the space for it. I keep telling people, now, I've been wearing clothes since I was born. Each time I want to make a cloth, I go to my tailor. I've never attempted making clothes for myself.
For yourself, okay.
Now, why? Because I know it is the tailor that will make the tailor that I will clothes that I wear properly. Now, but people don't do this in health. That's why you see somebody walks into an open patent medicine store and say, give me eye drop. And the man says, what is the name of the eye drop? I don't know. What is it being used for? I don't know. People keep pumping poisons into it. I hope you know that drugs is another name for drug is poison. Now, people keep pumping poisons into their system by not seeking the relevant. Wherever you have need. Oh, my eyes are feeling tired. Oh, I am like stitching me, spelling me, doing this and that. Those things can come from different sources. Until you subject your eyes to a proper eye examination, you may not be able to find the cause. And if you don't have the right diagnosis, of course, the treatment you're giving at best will worsen your case.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. So people who have defaults in their eyes right from birth, what causes things like that?
Well, birth defect, not just in the eyes, in any other thing, they come from very many, they come from different sources. And, of course, you also know that when a child is developing, and the health of the mother, especially, do you understand, forms part of what is going to come out as part of the child. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And of course, you also know that when a mother gives birth, there is need for replenishment. She must have lost a lot of things. The child necessarily will take nourishment from the body of the mother. Okay? And so we live in a world of give and take. The child takes from the mother. So when there is nothing to take or inadequacy of something to take, you discover that the child may have not taken enough or may have taken the wrong thing. So, and it may lead to malformations or incomplete development of certain parts of the body, including the brain. And it's important here to state that two things are responsible for so many diseases. We have two major causes of different diseases. The two major causes are deficiency and toxicity. Deficiency when you are not having enough of what you should have. Toxicity when you are having what you shouldn't have. So these are two major causes of different defects. So when any of those things exist, that's why again, it becomes very important. You visit your doctor more than you visit your beer parlor. Make sure that everything is all right. Even the place where the beer will enter has to be certified fit. If beer is anything to go by anyway. But again, we still advise people, there is so much gain to have when you go preventive more than curative. And for you're a young lady now. I keep telling young lady, if you are getting married, this body is preparing to house another human being. Okay? If you want a facility to house some other things, you check the integrity of the facility. You don't just carry things and log into the first floor of a building without checking how strong the deck is. So it becomes important for you to how healthy am I before I even take in. So that you don't punish the child and punish yourself at the same time. So, and all those things could be achieved by going to meet your doctor in whatever field and being able. One thing about this whole thing is there's an interplay of these things. So you discover that, if this is there, my baby will not be fine. You address it. If this is here, my baby will not be fine. You address it. It happens both for men and for women. I've seen countless women suffer because they have been battling to correct a problem that is in their body, and the problem is existing in the body of their husbands. So you find out that knowledge gotten from regular checks with your doctors. Okay?
Yes.
It's very important.
Knowledge gotten from regular checks with your doctor is very important. Thank you so much, sir, for this. But before we round up, please, where can we find you in case people need to ask more questions or need to do anything concerning their eye? Where can they find you?
Okay. My name is Dr. Chubu and Wesley Clinics, Zone 3 Wuse. Okay? It's my base here in Abuja. And you can find it there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, doctor. What a good way to wrap up on the 3rd edition of Finding Your Motivation with Goodness, Chineye. I truly believe that you have been motivated. Thank you so much, doctor, for this opportunity.
My pleasure.
Yes, sir. Until next time. Bye.